Rock Farm. Today, while I enjoy my tea waking up, I'm going to take you guys around and give you the full garden tour. One of mine and Rory's favorite things to do is to wake up at our property and just walk around and take it all in, see what's going on. Observation is one of the best garden tools, to just go around, see what pests you have to manage, see what diseases you have to manage, see what plants are liking, what they're not liking. And it's just super relaxing to wake up kind of just at your own pace and walk around, gather all the information you need to gather for the day, and just enjoy it. See the activity, see the bird life, the bug life, the bee life. It's quite magical. So with that, let us begin our tour. I guess I'll start right here at this very unsightly bed. So obviously replanting this stuff over here. We have some lettuce in that corner, and reseeded some peas, orach, and Asian green of tatsoi, and I forget the variety name over there. And this was bok choy. Early spring it got really hot and went to seed quite quickly. I did eat the blossoms and these pods for a while, but then they got a little bit too rough, so I couldn't eat them anymore. And I was like, hey, well, I wanted to attempt some seed saving this year, so figured I'd let these go to seed. What I did not anticipate is how much the birds were going to enjoy them as well. And they have literally torn out each and every one of these pods. And as soon as the pods are drying out, there's no more seeds left. So I don't know, I'll see if I can save any of these, but they do have to dry out before you can start to clip them and save them, so I don't know, I might not be able to get to it before the birds do. Just one of those problems that you don't know until you actually are dealing with it. When I thought of seed sieving for bok choy, I didn't realize that I would have a bird problem. So it's a lot of trial and error. Homesteading and farming, a lot of trial and error. This lettuce is also going to seed. Might choose to save it as well. Looks pretty nonetheless. Then over here we have my herbal flower garden, still going strong with lavender, calamint, calendula, chamomile, and self-seeded borage. So I did not plant that this year. This seeded itself from last year. I read somewhere once, maybe it's an old farmer's tale, but they say that if you grow borage in your garden, it actually improves the flavor of vegetables around it. So if you were to grow this around like your tomatoes or your peppers or whatnot, it says it's supposed to improve the flavor. Don't know how accurate that is, but if you want to give it a shot. And then of course the chamomile going strong. I'll probably harvest a bunch more of this today, and to do that you simply pick the tops off like that, and I just bought this herb drying rack to let them lay out on. And of course the calendula, also looking very merry. Let's pick some of these today as well. And then back here, some lettuce going a little crazy. Probably get some last cuts from this soon and then put something else there. This kale is doing beautifully here. It's doing very nice. And the reason I chose this spot for lettuce and kale, and it's July and still looking this great, is actually under this maple tree, so it gets shade between the hours of like 12 to like 2:30 or 3, which are like the hottest parts of the day, but it gets that early morning sun and that late afternoon sun, so it's just perfect enough to keep them here and happy. And obviously the lettuce will eventually go to seed, but I mean, I've had that in there since April at least, so it's kicking. And then lastly, this last arm is my first attempt at a direct seeded polyculture. So So I'll zoom in here and you can see this is a bean. We have kohlrabi. These little guys right here are beets, those ones. There's a few weeds mixed in here too. I did have more in this patch right here under this is an okra, and I did have more underneath it, but something decided to use this as its bathroom, wild animal of sorts. So again, another unforeseen problem. Wild animals using your garden beds as litter boxes. So just another thing. So what a polyculture means, if you don't know, is it's a mix of different vegetable families instead of a monoculture, which is like a typical garden bed or a typical way a farmer would farm his vegetables, just like single rows of crops of the same family, the same crop. And there's a lot of different pros and cons to polyculture and monocultures, but I won't go into that today. But this is my very first attempt at a small size polyculture garden. So if you guys tuned in a few weeks ago, I introduced you to our strawberry spinach plant and told you that it would eventually produce these edible fruits. And today it is very close to being at that stage. You can see that the fruits are starting to turn to red. They look really cool. The leaves at this point are starting to get a little bit more bitter, kind of coincides with other vegetables. As soon as they start going to seed, the leaves start lacking in flavor, they start to change a little bit. But I'm excited to try the fruit of this plant. And the other things we have growing in the stump are some flowering thyme that hopefully will come over the edge of the stump. And in this nasturtium we just plunked in the bottom hole, and it's loving life in there. It's really cute. So if we continue our journey to the other side of the front garden, where the wild Rory is hard at work. What you got going over there?
Oh, nice. Look at that little guy.
Oh, cute little melon. Oh, it's so cute. So this half of the bed is various watermelons. We have a yellowed one, some personal sized ones, I think called leopard. And then the second half is a mixture of cantaloupes, sugar cube being one of our favorites. This right here is buckwheat that we used as a cover crop. Side note on buckwheat, if you ever plan on using it as a cover crop, there's about like 1 week there where it kind of smells like a cat dump. I don't know if I'll actually include that in the video.
What?
That it smells like a cat dump.
No.
Ooh, I just got a whiff of it. And then over here, another mixture of melons. Lots of different melons to show you guys. It'll be fun when they start ripening. This is what's left of our fava bean garden. I'll be replanting that today. But over here we have what's starting to be our raspberry hedge. You see these two, that bed and that bed. These will both be filled with raspberries. Got some baby ras plants coming up, but we do have a few raspberries coming along here. Just a few berries this year, nothing crazy, but exciting nonetheless. Nothing beats a fresh raspberry. It's so beautiful. And then of course we have our pepper boxes. Now these 3 shorter plants I am particularly proud of because not only are they my favorite pepper, the shishito pepper, a great frying of pepper, but I also started them from seed in my little pop-up greenhouse in April at some point outside, and they are looking so good. I'm a very proud mama. Mostly we get our peppers from transplants because they're notoriously hard to start from seed and they don't like the cold at all. So almost all the other peppers we have on our property were from transplants from greenhouses, but not these three beauties right here. These are my babies and I'm very happy. But we do have some baby jalapenos coming at us. It's exciting. And then in these pepper boxes we have cherry bomb peppers, which are those circular types of peppers, perfect for stuffing. They're coming along nicely. Beets, of course. We have some beautiful, beautiful beets coming along. If you're not a beet person, I suggest trying them as juice, as weird as that sounds. They're absolutely delicious made into a juice. You can even strain it if you don't like the fiber, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful color. This is more strawberry spinach that I actually put in row here to consume more just like spinach instead of letting it grow into a full-grown plant. Some basil mixed in, and then this is all beans here. And they're just starting to flower, but nothing to show you quite yet. And what's left of our carrot patch for now. We've been eating carrots for the last few weeks, so it's getting a little sparse. Oh, it's Mr. Mullen. Hello, Mr. Mullen. Every time we mow, we always leave this mullen. He's just chilling. If you don't know this about mullen, it's also called poor man's toilet paper because the leaves are so soft you could, in fact, use it as toilet paper. But onward in the journey. All these mulched areas here are various trees that Rory has planted. I believe these two are a beach plum or cherry. Same with this mulched area here. Also more trees. I know that's an apple tree in the middle. These look like a tart cherry variety. Some lovage there, and then I believe this is the black Oxford apple. And this right here, this stakes and string, this is just used as a deer deterrent. In the early stages of tree development, deer love the fresh little buds, like the leaf buds, the twig buds, like they'll just eat them all, and they'll essentially prune your tree for you, which can be very bad when you're trying to get it to be established in a certain shape for production later on. So just a simple barrier like the stake and twine is usually sufficient to keep deer out. You can go ahead and put CDs on this as well. It'll kind of freak them out. So anything you can do to protect your young trees while they're in their forming years is really good. Oh. I actually have a Shaffer Beetle on me. These are actually big garden pests, so I will eliminate him by squishing or feeding to the chickens or putting him in a cup of soap and water. If you're like me and you're not a fan of squishing bugs, a great alternative to get rid of bugs without squishing them is to just put them in a cup of soapy water. They'll drown almost instantly, and then you can go around with your cup and pick out any pests you might see in the garden without having to squish them, but you get rid of the problem. This is the Kale and Onion Bed I showed you guys earlier. The kale is still holding strong. It's definitely getting nibbled around the edges, but I do believe that the onions are acting as somewhat of a deterrent from the rabbits. To keep the kale from getting totally chewed. The onions as well are definitely starting to size up. Let me find a good one for you guys. You can see right there the onions are starting to get nice and juicy. We've actually been starting to harvest a few of them just here and there. definitely gonna be planting more onions next year. We eat onions like no one's business. We love onions. Potato plants are still going strong. They're still kicking, not too much pest damage, which is nice. Now these are peppers too, and the peppers in the pepper boxes up top are definitely doing much better than these guys. We've always had better luck with peppers in containers. We also didn't prep the soil as thoroughly as we could have. I was attempting to do a no-till method where you put cardboard down and then you compost mulch that, and then you actually just cut holes in your cardboard and plunk your transplant through it. It's an approach. It'll really only work for plants like this if you have nice, rich, loose soil. The soil down here is definitely rich, but maybe it could have used a little bit of a working this year, a bit of breaking down, but we figured we were gonna mulch and cardboard this anyway to keep the grass at bay, so I might as well try to get something out of it this year. And this probably won't be the luscious garden on the property, but it'll still give us something. The elderberries are looking very, very healthy. Healthy elderberries. This is a chestnut tree Rory planted this year, and it's putting on some beautiful new growth. Just look at the color of this. I love it. It's like this bronzy greenish red, and it's beautiful. So I've been feeling really bogged down lately, just between working and after the wedding, having all the wedding stuff be done, and I feel like we haven't been getting everything done that I want to get done here, and I've kind of been kicking myself for that, but I've been tired, so I've been not doing quite as much, and you know, I've just been feeling like we need to do more and more, but honestly, it'll come, and I'm trying not to let it get to me. And one of my friends from work the other day said, if you want something to last, don't rush it. And it truly resonated with me. And we have all of our lives to make it the way we want, and we can enjoy every minute of it. I mean, we're here. We didn't even know this place was going to exist until we bought it about 2 years ago, and even that in itself is amazing. This is our mint patch. It loves it down here, and this is new mint we're growing called pineapple mint. It's really cool. It's got these white edges. It's very cool. And here are the pawpaws, a row of them looking very happy. They've been liking all this hot weather and the rain, so they're doing really good. They're putting on some nice growth. I can see that's all new growth right there. It's really doing well. And this little guy right here is actually our persimmon tree. Hello, mighty walnuts, you magnificent beast, you. Under this magnificent walnut, we found on one of our garden strolls what we think is a wineberry, which is another wild bramble that grows around here. So we're pretty excited about that. It produces this fruit much like a raspberry, except it's kind of like furry on the outside. Really interesting. So what we're doing here is tip layering. A lot of plants you can tip layer, especially brambles. They're well known for tip layering. And what you do is you take a section of plant, usually the tip, and you put part of it under soil. And the plant will actually do this naturally by getting heavy at the top, like this one is, and reaching itself the ground, and then it'll produce another plant by growing roots from where it hits the ground. So we can mimic this by taking the top of the plant, putting it down, putting soil over it, and holding it in place. And now eventually this right here, the plant under the soil, will root. So it's going like this, and eventually it'll form roots here. and then we can just cut this part off, and then we have our own plant already in a bucket ready to transplant. So that's a quick tip on tip layering. Oh my gosh, if you guys were here the other week and saw the puffballs, you gotta see them now. And they are puffballs. We did our research, we ate one, and we did not die, and they are good for mushrooms. I'm actually not a big mushroom fan, but if you were a mushroom fan, I could see why you would like it. It's very creamy. And look at these guys. Oh my goodness. So they're actually starting to brown, which means that they will spore soon. Once this gets all brown, I'm planning on making a video of Rory stomping on it, so that'll be fun. It's pretty cool. Look at this thing. You can kind of get a gauge of the size just from my hand, but it's actually shrunk a little bit too. Prior to it turning brown, it was quite massive. Another cute little thing I found on our garden walk yesterday, which is why I love doing garden walks. You never know what you're gonna find, all the little surprises that nature leaves for you. And this one was just so cute. Check this out, guys. Just amongst all this poison ivy, it's this adorable little flower. I have no idea what it is. Rory thinks it looks somewhat like a black-eyed Susan, but I don't know if the petals will completely open up or if this is just kind of what it does, but if anyone thinks they know what this is, please let me know. It's quite cute. So I actually don't think I can fit everything we have growing in our yard in one video because there is quite a lot. Things that we've put in, perennial things, and things that nature has put in for us. So definitely let me know if you guys enjoy these lengthy videos. If so, I'll keep doing them. I'll try to include as much as I possibly can before it gets like too long and you guys don't even want to watch it all. So right here we have one of our pear trees. We have the guild we're starting to form underneath it. We have Comfrey, which is a great, they call it a green mulch plant. You actually cut it and then let the leaves fall all around the ground and it acts as a mulch for your tree. It also flowers, bringing in beneficials and pollinators. It's a great guild crop. And underneath it we planted onions, which is a good deterrent crop. Most pests don't like onions. And again, we have the fencing up to prevent deer from getting in. So we have a few pear trees here. There's one in the back there, there's one here, there's one there. A couple different varieties. I can go into those in another video if you guys would like. Again, we have this comfrey plant that's honestly almost as tall as this pear, so we should probably cut that down soon. But it is a perennial that'll keep coming back year after year. And then down here, we have the start of one of our blueberry patches. This is a perfect place for blueberries. It's low, it's boggy, and it's kind of the natural habitat of blueberries. One of our goals here at Folk Rock Farm is to plant things as naturally as possible while still having them benefit us in ways of production. So, for example, like these blueberries, we know that they prefer boggy areas. Like usually they're an understory plant. So if we mimic what nature has taught us, we know this plant's gonna thrive here. And like I said earlier, observation is one of your best garden tools. If you're not sure how to garden, the best thing you can do is watch, either at somebody else's garden, learn from them, or start your own garden and just observe what happens and take that and use it for your next garden. Observation, one of the best garden tools. So these funky plants are actually plantain, a very medicinal plant growing wild here, and the bees absolutely love this plantain. We have it growing all over our yard. We let it go to seed. We don't mow it till afterwards, and it has taken over, and I'm fine by that because our honeybees are in honeybee heaven right now. They love it. The honeybees love it. The bumblebees love it. It's really cool. Oh, there's one going now. And if you also tuned in a few weeks ago, we were showing you our mulberries, which are still fruiting. So how many weeks ago was that? At least 3. This tree has a very long fruiting life, which is really cool. At this point, the birds are getting to like the very ripe ones before we can, but we'll still come out here and nibble. Plus we have about like 8 quart bags of these frozen right now in our freezer, so we've gotten plenty. If the birds get the rest, I'm really not too mad about it, but she's still going. This is some grass we let go to seed, mostly just because of how beautiful it looks, especially in the wind. It'll kind of ruffle and all this pink will sway in the wind. It's quite beautiful. It looks, I wish I could just roll around in this without fear of getting bitten by a tick or anything, because doesn't that just make you want to roll around in it? Oh man. Sorry about the outfit change, it's getting kind of hot in my long sleeve, but something we're really trying to do here and in our orchard here with our trees, we're really trying to keep this like pasture setting as much as possible. We're trying not to mow all the grasses and weeds as soon as they get tall. It's so beneficial for the soil and for the biology of this place, all the insects and birds, to actually have things go to seed and flower and provide habitat. So we're really trying to keep this a pasture setting as much as possible and kind of just mow paths where we need to walk or where we need to access, but for the most part we like to keep this for the animals to help benefit the trees. And speaking of the trees, you can see the apples are starting to size up. They're looking really nice. If you're wondering what this white is, this is actually what Rory sprays on our trees quite often. It's called Kale and clay, and it's beneficial for various reasons. It's also so harmless. You can actually use this, and it is used in beauty products, so it's no problem at all if it gets on your skin. It's just a physical barrier. It actually doesn't kill any bugs, but it just prevents them from eating because they actually just don't like the texture of the clay. It's a physical barrier for bugs and diseases and funguses so that they don't penetrate. Rory hit this tree, both these trees pretty well a few weeks ago. They were almost all white. So the only negative about using the Kale and clay is that it actually does leave the white residue. But what Rory has found out is that the tree actually is able to photosynthesize better with the clay on the leaves, which I find incredibly shocking. But I guess because in the heat of the day, the leaf will actually close its pores in an effort to not lose water. Because the clay is white, it'll actually reflect some of the sunlight, keeping the leaves cooler, and that way they're actually able to perform photosynthesis longer and in hotter days, therefore, you know, creating more fuel for the tree, more food for the tree. So it's actually quite amazing what this stuff can do, and it's so safe. You can literally use it on your skin, and people do use it as a beauty product item, so it's overall it's really cool. And we got some beautiful looking apples coming up, and I'm truly excited to see what these guys do now with a little care, because we think that these were from the original orchard here, and they were left to get demolished by poison ivy, and we've cleared them of that. And underneath it, obviously there's some weeds in here, but we also have some thyme, oregano, sage, and some coriander going to seed over there, and just creating a beautiful little guild for our trees. Has there ever been a more perfect garden site to see a honeybee enjoying a daisy? I don't think so. Well, it's a quintessential garden delight. A honeybee on a flower. I love garden surprises. And this variegated pepper is a garden surprise. I did not pick out a variegated pepper, but we have a variegated pepper. Even the pepper itself has some stripes on it. So cool. So I don't know if this is a mutation, if I accidentally grabbed a wrong pepper, but the leaves are absolutely beautiful on it. I love plants with variegated leaves. I got a second one there. But I'm going to attempt to save the seed from this if I enjoy the pepper and continue to grow it. And it's a happy mistake, happy little accident. Around here we have more peppers, eggplant, tomatoes. These ones haven't ripened yet, but they are getting quite loaded. And some baby eggplants getting ready to eat over here. And then behind us we have summer squash coming. Some beautiful summer squashes and zucchini coming along. These plants are loaded. This is some succession planting, so those are older summer squash plants bearing fruit now. I just planted these about a week ago and they'll bear fruit after these ones are done. Some beautiful zucchini right there for you. Oh yeah, I'm gonna eat you. Oh yeah, I'm gonna eat you. Some loofah squashes, they're kind of taking their time this year. They got a rough start. Had some trouble with my greenhouse blowing over and they're kind of victim to some of that. So these ones I just seeded. And the garlic's drying up. We'll probably be pulling these out to start to dry and cure within the next few weeks. I could definitely show you guys some of that once we go to do that. And then lastly is our cherry tomatoes and our tomatillos, which are starting to fruit up nicely. I love the paper lanterns on these tomatillos. I think they're the most whimsical, cutest little things. And some sun golds ripening up. This is the tomato that really got me into eating fresh tomatoes. Never really liked them until I had these sun golds. They're so bright. They really are. They're really delicious. Alright guys, well my camera battery is dying, so I clearly cannot show you the full extent of what we have growing here without it taking too long. We just have too much combined with what we're growing, what nature's growing for us, and what we're just starting to put in for perennials. With that said, let me know if you guys enjoyed this tour, if you want more like kind of full tours of all the little things we have going on. Just let me know. I enjoy doing them, so I'll probably do them anyways, whether you guys like them or not. I think it's a fun way of just storing information for us years down the road so we can look back and be like, oh, looking when we were just getting started. And that's something I have to remind myself too when I get a little overwhelmed with everything we have going here, and sometimes I feel like we're so behind, we're not where we want to be, but we have all the time in the world. We are not planning on going anywhere. We love it here, and this really is our dream, so I'm just trying to enjoy every minute of every day and just be grateful for the fact that we even have this place. I mean, 2 years ago this was just a dream, and we're still on the search, and I feel blessed every morning that I get to wake up, come outside here, and call this place our home. It's truly amazing. So, thanks for tuning in today, guys. Let me know if you liked this video, and just be grateful for today and every day. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time.